It's just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Berardo Podcast. I am your host, Tony Berardo, and this is kind of a cool episode. It's just kind of a little rant. Normally I have guests on and, I like to have conversations. A lot of you guys know that. I just like to talk a lot. But I want to do this little rant because the last couple of weeks I've really been thinking about, this a lot lately. And I kind of wanted to get it out there because once I had some conversations with friends, they didn't really understand, they didn't really have that mentality that I had about this topic. And that is just being passionate and finding your passion. I think those two things go hand in hand, but just finding your passion, finding what you want to do, and be excited about it, And I kind of want to go through a couple bullet points that I wrote down here. But before I get into that, I did want to throw out a quick shout out to STI Fine Foods. They actually called me a few weeks ago, some of the owners, and we had a really good conversation, and they're getting a lot of good feedback from you guys. So a lot of people that have purchased the foods, and I'm using my discount code, the Berardo. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. That's really cool. So it's kind of great to talk to those people and get some feedback on, things I could do better. And they're also trying to bring a lot of great things to the States. They're over in Italy, so they do everything actually from a few parts of Italy, but mainly Apulia, which is a part of Italy where the founders are from. And, they package everything and ship it out. But unfortunately, with international laws, a lot of the stuff just stays in Italy. And, they're trying to work a lot of different things out to make sure they get more products over to the States. But their food is unbelievable. Those of you who have tried it, it's great. They don't just have vegan stuff. Everyone asks me like, well, Tony, it's kind of cool that they have vegan stuff, but I'm never going to go vegan. I was like, dude, it's totally cool. They actually have regular pasta. They have regular sauce, regular spreads, but they also have vegan options too, which is pretty cool. So, and then of course, gluten-free options, they have that as well. But if you just, like my dad, if you just want to have straight up, regular pasta, they got that too. And it's a great price because they'll ship it right to your home. So you're saving a lot of costs going to retail by doing that. So definitely want to say thanks to STI Fine Foods. And if you do get a chance, go on their website, stifinefood.com, and use the code TheBerardo at checkout, and you're going to get a really good discount. So just keep that in mind, and shoot me a text, shoot me a picture, throw me a little message on Instagram, and let me know what you think, because it's pretty cool. Okay, so enough said on that. Let's get to today's topic. So again, this is just kind of a rant. I don't think it's going to be more than 10, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know, but knowing me, it normally turns into like an hour-long podcast. So thanks for tuning in, but hopefully you get some value out of it. Again, it's just kind of my thoughts on finding your passion and really just doing what you love. And I think the first big thing that we don't talk a lot about, you probably hear about it. Maybe you see some YouTube clips. I know Gary Vee is a big proponent of this, but life's just too short. It's way too short. I mean, one day, you're not going to be here anymore. Neither am I. We're all going to die. This is, I think sometimes we get caught up in the minutia of, I think I'm using that word right, is we get caught up, I need to work hard to buy this new car, or I need to work hard to, do this. I need to work hard to buy this. And if you think about it, we really work, and we're very fortunate to be able to work and to have jobs and to buy things that we like, but you really don't need a whole lot. So I think sometimes we get caught up in, we work to pay for shit we don't need, as opposed to working at a place that we just love working at, right? Really just finding your passion, finding the job that you really, really want to go to every single day, because your life is so short. If we're on this earth for 80 years, you're probably working I don't know, 60 of it, 70 of it. So you're working almost every, well, that's probably, I know I did. I started a lawn mowing business when I was a kid. So maybe you're not working until the age of 17. So if you're on this earth for 80 years, you're working for 65 years, right? 60 years, whatever, depending on if you retire. So you just got to think about that, is you're going to spend most of your life working. A lot of that's trial and error, but you're not going to be around forever. So because your life is so short, and my life is so short, you really should figure out what your passion is and do it for the rest of your life. Because if you're going to be on this, earth for 40 years, 50 years, 100 years, you need to make sure that you're enjoying it. That's the whole purpose of life. The whole purpose of life is not, to work your ass off and then buy a bunch of cool shit, unless that's what you're into. That's fine. But when you have all this cool shit, okay, then now what? Now what do you do? So now you have all this cool shit and you got to go back to work. And if you don't like that 8 hours a day you're spending at work, then what's the point of having the cool shit? Right? So I think sometimes we forget that, and we kind of take it for granted because, if you're a little bit younger like me, I'm about to turn 34 in a month. So I regret a lot of the stuff that I did when I was a teenager. I think we all could probably agree to that there's definitely a learning curve, in an age group. I think maybe by like 25 or 30, I might have figured a couple things out, where I actually bought my first home and, I found a nice girl and, all that jazz. So it took me a lot of BS to get to that point. But, if you're a little bit younger, be excited that you are younger, that you can go through trial and error, but also don't waste your time. That's kind of the second point is we don't really think until it's too late that we could have been doing a lot of other stuff. So like if you're 25 right now, and if your goal is to eventually one day you want to have a family, or maybe you want to live on the beach somewhere, or maybe you want to retire at the age of 60, of course it's never too late to reach those goals, but it's going to be more of a challenge. It's going to be harder. So if you're young, if you're in your 20s right now, now's the time to figure out what your passion is, to figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's hard to picture sometimes, like when I was 25, when I was 20, I couldn't picture 5 years, right, in advance. I couldn't picture when I was 25. When I'm 20, all I wanted to do was drink, hang out, party, have a good time. But if I kind of had a different mentality, I think my wife and myself would be better off right now at the age of 34. And we're doing just fine, but, we're still working. We're still working hard, and, I'm still trying to get promoted. She's trying to advance in her company. I wish I could take care of my family more now, but we just don't have the money for it. And I think when I was 20, 25, I didn't really think about that. But you should, though. You should always think about that, because not only is your life too short, but your family members, your friends, their lives are too short too. Which kind of leads me to the next one is, who are you spending your time with? Are you spending your time with people that are as passionate as you? And if they're not as passionate as you, maybe you should reevaluate who you hang out with. Sometimes you need the friend that makes you laugh every now and again, that, goes out to bars with you and gets passed out, and, you end up doing a Snapchat of him in a gutter somewhere, and it's really funny, and then you pick him up and take him home, and you show him the Snapchat the next day, and you're like, yo, dude, you're really fucked up. Sometimes you need friends like that. I get that. But at a certain point, you got to kind of look around you and be like, wait a minute. So if I have 10 hours in a day, right, after work and all that, if I have 10 hours on a weekend, should I spend that 10 hours with someone who's dragging me down? Or should I spend that 10 hours maybe with people that are positive? Maybe I should spend that 10 hours with somebody that, advances my career. Or maybe it's somebody that can help me with a passion of mine. Maybe I want to learn how to play guitar. Well, instead of going out and hanging out with those negative people, use that time wisely and actually go out and do things that you really, really, really want to do. Because next thing you know, it's going to be too late, and you're not going to be able to do those things. So the short time that we're here, we need to make the best of it. And not only just being here, like on this earth, but if you live in America, you should have no excuse. I don't give a shit what you do for a living. But whatever you do for a living is better than what some other people in the world are experiencing right now. Like, sometimes, again, we get caught up in wanting to buy cool shit and the newest phone and all this and that, but some people don't even have phones. Some people don't even have clean water. So I think we have to educate ourselves a little bit more on, we need to be passionate about the things that we want, and we need to work hard to get it. But also at the same time, you can't really hate on anybody else if you don't get those things, right? Nobody owes you anything. So if you didn't get a promotion at work, that's your fault. Don't blame it on someone else. Work harder or go find another job. Like, I think we get in the habit of making excuses because we feel like we're, I don't know, obligated maybe to get X, Y, and Z. But you got put on this earth, you were born, and that's it. That's the only guarantee. Actually, there's two guarantees. The guarantee is that you're alive, you're born, that's it, right? You get the plate. You get the plate for the buffet, but no one's going to walk you around and scoop up your food and put on the plate for you. You got to do it yourself. And then the other thing that's guaranteed is that the meal's going to end. So you're going to get your plate. That's guaranteed. No one's going to walk you through the line of the buffet. But then at the end of it, you're going to eventually stop eating. And that's life and death, in my view. I mean, you literally get put on this earth, and then we're going to die. Those are the two guarantees in life. That's it. So in between that time frame, what are you doing with your life, right? So I think that's really, really important. And then another thing is, how do you find your passion? Like, maybe, I don't know, like, it took me a really long time, and I'll get into kind of what my passions are, but how do you find your passion? You know, a lot of people ask me, this friend I was having a conversation with where I kind of broke down these points, and I was actually talking through it as I was thinking about it. And then at the end of it, he's like, yo, dude, you should talk about it on the podcast. I was like, whoa. So then I whipped up my phone on the notes app, and I put all this stuff in my phone. I'm reading off it right now, actually, because I really thought it was kind of a cool idea that we were talking about this, because a lot of people maybe have this idea of getting, you know, finding your passion and wanting to retire at a certain age and wanting to get the cool car and the nice house with the picket fence and the family with the kids, but no one really has a plan. No one really has, you know, the balls, so to speak, to put the passion all together and actually go out and do it. So I think hobbies are a really good way to find your passion, meaning trial and error. So you don't really know what your passion is unless you try things out. Well, I look at hobbies like a really good place to start. So like if you're a little bit younger and maybe you're lost, or maybe you just broke up with a girl or your guy, or you just went through a divorce. I mean, literally anybody out there listening or watching on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. But anybody actually listening to this, just start doing stuff. Start doing stuff you're passionate about. So like if you want to read a book a month or a book a week, start doing it today. Go out and do it. You know, if you want to start vlogging or taking photography classes, or jogging more or exercising or anything, just do it. Just do a bunch of different things and then see which one sticks. You got to take a bunch of wet paper towels, not literally, but you got to take a bunch of wet paper towels, throw it up against the wall and see which one sticks. And maybe a couple things stick. Maybe you end up loving vlogging and you've never vlogged it before. You know, maybe you're really interested in like coding. You know, like maybe that's a passion of yours. So maybe you find out, you know, maybe you find out someone that actually is really good at coding and just hang out with them, you know. But I don't know, I just think it's a really great, that's how I started. You know, that's how I kind of found my passion, is I just did a bunch of stuff for, man, I think it was probably like 2-3 years, and I tried out a bunch of stuff, and eventually I found out that I'm really passionate about this podcast. I honestly did not think I was going to like this. You know, some of you that have been following me for a while, or if you're friends of mine, or you know me for a long time, first off, appreciate the love, appreciate the follow. But I always like to talk. Like, I was always a big talker. You know, when Snapchat and Instagram first came out, I think the first like 20 posts were just me. selfies or talking, or if it was Twitter, I was just always getting out, and I was always wanting to talk to people and stir up conversations and talk. And I just love to debate, whether I'm right or wrong. I just like to talk, and I like to debate. Sometimes I like to argue. The wife will agree to that one. But I like to argue and debate because you get the most out of somebody when you do that stuff, I feel like, and it gets the most out of me. And I'm not always right, obviously. I've been wrong 1,000 times, and I still will continue to be wrong, but it makes me better. And that's the reason why I love this podcast, is because not only can I learn a little bit, but through having these episodes and watching myself on YouTube and critiquing myself, critiquing my podcast, when I talk to other people, when the recording stops, asking them, hey man, how'd I do? What can you improve on? And we're always just learning from each other. And I think that's something we don't do a whole lot of. And that's my big passion, and just kind of going back to the struggle of it. My very first episode of this podcast was just me on my phone. And it was even my company phone, because I didn't even have like a personal phone at the time. I just had a company phone. It was like, I think a 5C or something. It was about a year ago, actually, today, matter of fact. And I just had a little cheap mic that I got off Amazon. I think it was like $8. And I'll leave the links, actually, in the description of my YouTube channel. But I just picked up this mic, and I just started talking. I think my first episode was about, what was it about? It was just called Poppin' the Cherry. So I essentially kind of did like a solo cast like I am now, and I just, started talking. Because I think if we all do that, and I'm not saying we all need to start a podcast, you could, but there's no such thing as too much content when it comes to this type of stuff. Because if 100 people are listening right now, and one person gets value from this, that's important. The reason why I started a podcast is because I saw a lot of people that were doing their own podcasts and doing their own vlogs and all that, and it inspired me to do it. And they didn't even, it's not like they did a video on how to podcast. They just started talking, and I was like, I think I could bring some value, because they just brought value to me. So let me do a podcast. And I started one. And then, here we are. I think this is episode 39 or 40. And it's just, I think the quality's getting a lot better. I've learned a lot through, trial and error. And again, I think that's part of finding your passion, is picking a hobby, picking multiple hobbies, and figuring out exactly what excites you. So that way, when you wake up every day, you have a purpose. And it doesn't necessarily have to be helping somebody. Maybe it's helping yourself. Maybe it's helping, your family members. But just finding something that gets you really excited. And it is scary. It's definitely scary because, now you're sacrificing going out and drinking with the friends. Now you're sacrificing going to the mall and spending money on clothes. So I get it. But we've been brainwashed. We really have been brainwashed for sure. Of going out, getting a paycheck, taking that paycheck, taking that tax return, whatever, and going out and spending it. I think that's the wrong way to do things. Like if you're listening right now and you want to open up a restaurant, don't go out for a year and save as much money as you can, and then at the end of the year, take that money and put a down payment on a restaurant. Open up a building. Take out a loan. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Because if you fail, guess what? You're going to be right back where you started. What'd you lose? At least you could say you gave it a shot. I relate a lot of things to working out, because that's another passion of mine, is working out. But I kind of think of it like working out. It's a struggle. If you go in there and anybody that does chest press or let's use leg press, because everyone knows that. But let's say you go in there and you hit the leg press machine and you put 50 pounds on it. It's nice and easy. It's easy to do, right? And you do that a couple times a week. And then a year later, you're still doing that weight. You're not going to see any results, right? You're not getting better. You got to kind of think of your passions and your hobbies the same way. Is if you continuously do the same thing over and over, that's the definition of insanity. You're going to go nuts. You got to constantly change things up. You got to challenge yourself. You got to struggle yourself. You got to go up the hill and you got to fail. You got to fall, because that's what's going to make you better and make you stronger to climb that hill. And, I just think we got to change our attitudes a little bit, because we're living in such a cool world, man. It's so rad. I mean, think about it. I'm talking to a mic, and recording myself, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to upload it on this crazy thing called a Mac. And within minutes, sorry, that was a loud snap. Within minutes, that was pretty loud too. But I'll be able to upload it so the entire world could see it. Not that the whole world's going to see it because I don't have a lot of subscribers yet, but the whole world could see it if they knew about it. So I think we really got to change our mindset, man. Things are so good right now, especially in America. We're very lucky. And for you just to wake up, go to work, come back, eat dinner, watch Netflix, and do it all over again every single day without doing something that you really, really love, or without taking care of people that you love, without giving back to your community. If you're spending every day not doing those things, I just think it's a waste. And life is way too good to waste it. And that's just kind of that's the message I wanted to send you guys. And, hopefully you get some value out of it. Again, I just wish that someone did this to me earlier. I wish I was listening to podcasts 15 years ago, because I think my life would definitely be a lot better. Again, not that it's bad now, it's fantastic now, but I think we'd be working a lot less. We wouldn't be thinking about the future so much, because if I did it 15 years ago, the future would be a lot closer, if that makes any sense. I just think we got to be more prepared, and we got to be excited about where we're at, not just in the world, but the fact that we're even here. I mean, within 50 years, there might not be a single driver on the road. It might be all automated. We thought flying cars was the future. Man, were we wrong? You know what I mean? Like, there is some wild, wild stuff coming to us. And, let's take advantage. Let's really just take our time, think about what we're passionate about, and let's just go out and fucking get it. Let's stop wasting time on stupid shit. I don't know. That's all I got. But guys, thanks for listening. Again, I really appreciate you. I cannot wait till we get to episode 100. That's going to be a big milestone of mine. And I'm really just looking forward to it. And I can't thank you guys enough. A lot of people send me, messages all the time saying that they're loving the podcast. Some of them give me feedback on what they didn't like about the podcast. So I encourage that type of stuff, because I do not have the best podcast on earth. And I want to one day. So in order to get there, though, I got to find out what you guys think about it, and I got to make the changes. A very healthy marriage, they always say, is give and take, right? You can't just take all the time, and you can't give all the time. It's give and take. There's got to be some negotiation. Well, I'm asking you guys to tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can make it right for you, so that way you listen more, you tell your friends, you share this with your coworkers and your family and all that, and get everyone listening. But that's what I want. So if you haven't done so already, leave a review for me. That would really help me out, really help me spread the word. I got a 5-star rating now, so it's all thanks to you guys. So I appreciate that. But if you can, definitely write a review, share with some friends, share with family, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already. I'm starting to do a lot more of that. And anyway, I just appreciate the time. Thanks, guys.